Hello all. So recently I made some major service for our Ford Aspire. The first thing that I changed is the front brake rotor. Rotor is nothing but that's the part that you can see beyond the tire. The part number for the rotor is this one and it costs around 1600 per piece. So we have to change it for both sides. Our car has clocked around 60,000 kilometers. So the rotor has lost its thickness, which is the reason I'm changing. And the one that you see is the old one because I've already changed the spares in our car, and these are the old ones as you can see. So while changing the rotor, it's always advisable to replace the brake pads as well because the brake pad would have worn unevenly. So putting the old brake pad may damage the new rotor as well. And our brake pad has already clocked on 35,000 kilometers, so it's already due for replacement. So I replaced it along with this. And at the same time, the master cylinder and the boot has also gone in our car, so I have to replace it as well. And this is that spare. And this is also something related to braking component. Um, I can explain this in an easier way. To be more precise, this is the component that helps in braking. So we have our brake rotor. On top of it, we'll be having our brake pads. So when we press the brake pedal, the brake pad has to push that rotor, right? So to push that, this master cylinder helps. I believe you can understand now. So when we press the brake pedal, what happens is the pressure gets applied, the oil gets applied to this master cylinder and it pushes forward and backward so that the brake actually applies. This is the concept beyond this. So this component also has gone and we have replaced it as well because the cylinder it's not returning back. And the next thing that we changed is the suspension strut. The main reason to change the strut is recently I felt that the ground clearance has got reduced and also there was no action with respect to suspension. So I started to get some back pain as well. So upon checking, I found that it's purely related to suspension. So I changed the struts. These are the part numbers. As you can see, the old struts are over there. So the functionality of the strut is if you press it, it should release back completely. So let me press and show you. If you can see, it's not at all getting released. So eventually what happens is, if the strut does not function properly, the whole load sits on the spring, which actually means that the whole engine sits on the spring, which is not advisable to drive in that way. So whenever you see there is some issue with suspension or you feel some ground clearance issue or if you get some that sound, in that case, it's mostly related to suspension. Change it immediately, else it will damage most of the other components as well. As you can see, it's not at all returning. Even if I pull out, it's not coming out. So that's how it's totally gone. So while replacing this, I checked the spring. Spring is in good condition. So during my next suspension change, after the next 60,000 kilometers, I will change the spring as well. For now, I'm going to use the same old spring. The next component that I replaced is the top bearing. It's also completely gone. So these are the part numbers. These are the top bearings which need to be replaced. It's actually totally gone. I just applied some oil and tried it, but now it works. But still, I replaced it. And the next part we replace is the bar bush. And these are the part numbers. It's also called insulator. It's also completely gone. It became much harder. And also, as you can see, part of the rubber is already worn out. It's not there at all. So after replacing all this, our car actually came to its old position. My ground clearance issue is solved. There is no touch sound and there is no back pain as well. And the suspension action is as new as it is. So after changing these parts, let's look at the car. As you can see, you will be having a handful of gap between the tire and the fender, but previously it was much lesser. And there's a new rotor, brake pad, and the suspension that has been changed. So with this, we'll close this video. Thank you all for watching. Please do like, share, and subscribe.